Hello guys and welcome back. Today let's break down all the recent Borderlands 3 news in the past month. There have been some big developments for this game, and this is hopefully the last update video I will have to make without the game being officially announced. Before we get into that, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Hayder for all things Borderlands and future videos. And with that, let's get right into it. So the first story we have to talk about is the CEO of Take-Two Interactive gave an update on the company's Q3 2019 earnings conference call. The call was on February 6, 2019, and a question was asked from an analyst to Strauss-Zelnick about the unofficial title from one of 2K's biggest franchises that has been speculated to be Borderlands 3 since it was first mentioned in an earnings report a few years back. The question was, quote, curious if you could share with us your relationship with Gearbox and how stable that studio is. It looks like there's a fair amount of disruption internally that you guys feel this is impacting the development timeline for Borderlands 3. My second question on your unannounced 2K game, it's already been delayed once. It sounds like it's on track. We still don't know what it is. I guess why the lingering mystery on what this game is? Strauss-Zelnick responds saying, quote, thanks Mike, our relationship with Gearbox, which is an external studio, is excellent. The company is stable and they're doing a phenomenal job as they always do, and we support them greatly. In terms of the unannounced 2K title, that is very much on track and we expect it to stay on track, and we have very high expectations. So notice there how he doesn't address Borderlands 3 and the unannounced 2K game separately. He just mentions the unannounced 2K game, which people already speculate to be Borderlands 3. So the reason he just gives one response could be because they are the same game. We get one more update from the president of Take-Two, Karl Sladoff, who also talked about this unannounced game and said, quote, in addition, the unannounced title from one of 2K's biggest and most beloved franchises remains on track for a launch during fiscal 2020. 2K will have more to share in the coming months. Obviously, this got people excited for a few different reasons. One being that the game is not expecting any more delays. If you remember, it was originally supposed to come out in fiscal 2019 and got pushed back to fiscal 2020. We will see the game sometime between April 2019 and March 2020. Along with that, the president mentioning that 2K will have more to share in the upcoming months is exciting, which means that we will hear about it soon, which is a good thing for Borderlands 3. The next story we are going to talk about comes from Supmato and his sources. At this point, most of you guys already have your opinions on his info, but I will say this is not confirmed, but I trust it and want to cover it for you guys. So his sources say there's a new element in Borderlands 3 and it will be nuclear damage. It will be effective against a new type of protection in Borderlands 3 called bioarmor. The damage will be yellow in the game, similar to red for fire, blue for shock, and the sign for it will be the biohazard symbol. That's really all there is to say about it. He goes into more speculation on his video, so check that out if you want to hear more about that. Next, let's talk about the leak around Borderlands 3 being shown to press last week. So a French gaming publication has a Twitch channel called JVTV, and there are multiple different hosts and people that play games together and talk about the business and industry. So in a recent episode, they mentioned Borderlands 3, which of course got people talking about it and brought up. The video has now since been deleted, but luckily the folks over at Reddit saved a transcript of the video. So around the 1 hour and 35 minute mark, we hear one of the co-hosts say, quote, is it next week you're going to see Borderlands 3 in February? To which another host responds saying, quote, you can't say that. Which originally a lot of people just wrote off as not true. Maybe these people don't know what they're talking about. Borderlands 3, were they just saying that for publicity? But the video was eventually deleted from their Twitch channel after the story started to circulate around the community, which definitely implies something happened or that they don't want it out there anymore. Which means that last week there was most likely a press-only event for Borderlands 3, leading up, hopefully, to a PAX East reveal to allow multiple publications to get articles written and first thoughts on the game ready. One more thing, it's not surprising we didn't hear anything come out of this conference. Gearbox and everyone involved has to play this event and game very close to the chest. They don't want anything else to get out. Even mentioning that it happened is probably not a good thing, and I bet the publication got in trouble for that by Gearbox. I did make a separate video on the topic, so if you want to hear my extended thoughts, be sure to check that out. Now let's talk about the PAX East schedule. PAX East runs from March 28 to March 31st in Boston, and this is the event that people believe Borderlands 3 will be revealed at. On February 28, the official PAX Twitter page made a post announcing the release schedule by saying, quote, "The PAX East schedule and Expo Hall map are live. There's tons of great content this year, including panels by Gearbox, Justin Roiland, and Giant Bomb, just to name a few. View the map in the PAX mobile app and check out the full schedule here." As you can see, Gearbox was the first thing named, which directly means that PAX knows that Gearbox is a selling point for an event. Gearbox is named first, and everyone at this point knows that fans are waiting for Borderlands 3, so I wouldn't say that naming Gearbox first is an accident, and by telling fans you will get to see Gearbox is an accident. Then if we go to the schedule itself on the PAX East website, we see Gearbox has a main theater show on the first day of the event at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. local time. And the description for the event reads, quote, "This is your opportunity to get a behind-the-scenes look at Gearbox software and Gearbox publishing, along with the latest news and updates from the makers of Borderlands, Battleborn, Brothers in Arms, and more. We will have never-before-seen reveals, exclusives, and surprises, so don't miss out." So everyone of course gravitated to the never before seen reveals, and for the most part can be narrowed down to only a few different games. We know Gearbox is working on that card game shooter combination, Project 1v1 is what it's called, but I doubt they would have a main stage presentation for that game. It just seems like a side project for them. My personal opinion is I don't think Gearbox would make claims as bold as these, knowing the response that the community will have if Borderlands 3 is not shown. And I think the general consensus is that Gearbox is finally going to show off Borderlands 3. When you take in all this other information we have, that the game is not going to be delayed, Gearbox has been working on it for a long time now. So all this together, most likely this will be the event, and we only have a little under a month to wait. Another tweet I want to mention is from Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox Software. He quoted a PAX East tweet and said, quote, "A bunch of us will be there. We have a number of exciting things to share. I've had to miss PAX East and West for over a year, so I'm very excited to return." So the reason I want to bring up this tweet is he talks about having a number of exciting things to share, which implies having something more than just Borderlands 3. Some people have even linked a Borderlands 3 reveal to a Borderlands 1 remaster release. The Borderlands remaster, if you don't know, has been leaked since last year when we got the news from a Korean ratings board. More recently, we got another leak from the Taiwan rating board, along with the developer information, the trophies, and we know that the game is being developed by Blind Squirrel Games. On top of that, Blind Squirrel Games has started to tease a countdown on their Twitter, which leaves people thinking it could either be for a Borderlands 1 remaster or a new BioShock title potentially. If it is Borderlands, that would be awesome. So at PAX East, we could get a Borderlands 3 trailer, and it could finally get announced. Then after that, we are shown the Borderlands 1 remaster, and Gearbox says it's available to buy and play right away. This would build up the community and hype for a likely fall 2019 Borderlands 3 release. And this is the type of release that a lot of companies go for. This is what people wanted with Diablo 4 late last year, when Diablo Immortal was announced and nothing was shown for Diablo 4. People are okay with having something to play as long as the big game is finally announced. And I'll close out with a few more pieces of information Submato has been able to work through with his sources. First, let's talk about Sanctuary 3. It's a ship that the Vault Hunters and their allies will use to finally leave Pandora. It will be a hub-like area that's pretty common in all RPGs like this one, and will allow us to travel to all the different planets. Obviously, it being called Sanctuary 3 implies that something will happen to our current Sanctuary, so how that plays out in game, he's not 100% sure, but has his own ideas and speculation, so be sure to check out his video. He goes on to talk about new vehicles. We have discussed before that this game will feature 4 vehicles in the base game. The first 2 are somewhat familiar to players of the series. The Light Runner will be modified but still familiar to fans of the series, and we've seen that in every game. A technical-like vehicle from Borderlands 2 will also be available and will be returning, but one of the new vehicles is a monocycle. Supmato described it as similar to the cycle that General Grievous used in Star Wars, and I thought of the monocycle in Wolfenstein immediately. The last vehicle he mentions is it's going to be a heavier damage dealing vehicle. This has been compared to a tank for the most part, so more damage, more armor, but you move a lot slower. The final thing he discussed is an updated mini-map. He talks about in Borderlands 1 we had the compass, in Borderlands 2 we got our first mini-map, and now in Borderlands 3 there will be a 3D mini-map to accommodate for all the different layers and verticality Gearbox is adding in-game. He goes on to talk about it will be very similar to the Wolfenstein mini-map, which is cool to hear. I'm gonna be curious to see how Gearbox implements this and still keeps it simple enough for their fans to follow. That's where I'm going to end this video. As I said before, hopefully this is the last pre-reveal video I have to make on this topic. So hopefully at PAX East we will finally get Borderlands 3 and a Borderlands 1 remaster, but we'll just have to wait and see. Make sure to like and share this video, subscribe to the channel for all things Borderlands, and I will see you guys in the next one.